Well, here's what it looks like in game. Oh no, it's the same copy and paste nonsense, isn't it? Look at this. Let's go up. Let's go up to the rooftop. It's the same copy and paste. And you know, normally you can expect people to not look at the roof. But come on, we're playing an Assassin's Creed game. Of course you're gonna climb up to the roof and look at it. It's a parkour game. This is not the real thing, bros. It's not even close to the real thing. It's just the same copy and paste thing with a few extra bits added on. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. It's not even close. It's not even close. Images. Come on, it's not even close. Not even. No, come on. Come on, you're not even trying. Not even trying. Alright, well, let's read about it. Let's read about it in game first. Finari is a mosque, built in 908 CE on the remains of a shrine from the 6th century. The Finari Isa Mosque first began its worldly service as a nunnery inaugurated by the Byzantine Admiral Constantine Lips. Henceforth referred to as the Lips Monastery, it was one of the largest of its kind in Constantinople. After the restoration of the Palaiologan dynasty in 1261, the widow of Emperor Michael Palaiologos built a church just south of the monastery, which over the next few centuries was gradually built up and renovated to such an extent that the two structures became one. An interesting side note, Admiral Constantine Lips had a son named Bardas Lips. I just think that deserves mentioning. Why? Why? Anyway, Wikipedia says, Finari Isa? What does that mean when it has that thing above the letter? Anyway, in Byzantine times known as the Lips Monastery is a mosque in Istanbul, made of two former Eastern Orthodox churches. The complex is located in the Fatih district of Istanbul. Okay, I know that. Byzantine period. In 908, the Byzantine Admiral Constantine Lips inaugurated a nunnery in the presence of the Emperor Leo VI the Wise. The nunnery was dedicated to the Virgin Theotokos Penakrantos, Immaculate Mother of God, in a place called Medosengaris, in the valley of Lycus, the river of Constantinople. The nunnery was known also after his name and became one of the largest in Constantinople. The church was built on the remains of another shrine from the 6th century and used the tombstones of an ancient Roman cemetery. Ew. Wait a minute. You used tombstones to build a church? That's terrible. Relics of Saint Irene were stored here. The church is generally known as the North Church. After the Latin invasion and the restoration of the Byzantine Empire between 1286 and 1304, Empress Theodora, widow of Emperor Michael VIII Palaiologos, erected another church dedicated to St. John the Baptist, south of the first church. Several exponents of the imperial dynasty of Palaiologos were buried there besides Theodora. Her son Constantine, Empress Irene of Montferrat, and her husband Emperor Andronikos II. This church is generally known as the South Church. The Empress restored also the nunnery, which by that time had been possibly abandoned. According to its Typicon, the nunnery at that time hosted a total of 50 women, and also a xenon for laywomen with 15 beds attached. During the 14th century, Isonathax and Periclesion were added to the church. The custom of burying members of the imperial family in the complex continued in the 15th century with Anna, the first wife of Emperor John VIII Palaiologos in 1417. The church was possibly used as a cemetery also after 1453. Okay, so a lot of imperial family members were buried here. Interesting. Colored stone inlay on marble depicting Empress Aelia Eudoxia as a saint. Curious. Alright, Ottoman period. In 1497 to 1498, shortly after the fall of Constantinople and during the reign of Sultan Bayezid II, the South Church was converted into a mesjid, a small mosque, by the Ottoman dignitary. These names. I'm mangling every one of them, I'm sure. Fenerizade Aleddin Ali ben Yusuf Effendi, Quadiaska of Rumeli, and nephew of Mullah Simseddin Fenari, whose family belonged to the religious class of the ulema. He built a minaret in the southeast angle and a mihrab in the apse. Since one of the head preachers of the madrasa was named Isa, Jesus in Arabic and Turkish. He's called Jesus. Isa. His name was added to that of the mosque. Okay, so that's why it's called the Fenari Isa Mosque. It's not actually dedicated to Jesus, it's dedicated to a preacher named Jesus. Not the Jesus, another Jesus. The edifice burned down in 1633, was restored in 1636 by Grand Vizier Bayram Pasha, who upgraded the building to a cami, a mosque, and converted the North Church into a tekke, a Darvish lodge. In this occasion, the columns of the North Church were substituted with piers. The two domes were renovated and the mosaic decoration was removed. Okay, so the current church is actually not the same as the church in the time of the game. So, I mean, you can get kind of forgiven that the one in the game looks different, but according to these descriptions, there should be two buildings merged into one. There should be two domes and a nunnery and all that sort of stuff. So the one in the game is not what's being described in the history, neither. So it's neither the current church nor the historic church. After another fire in 1782, the complex was restored again in 1847-48. In this occasion also the columns of the South Church were substituted with piers, and the balustrade parapets of the narthex were removed too. The building burned once more. It's a lot of fires. The building burned once more in 1918 and was abandoned. During excavations performed in 1929, 22 sarcophagi have been found. Sarcophagi. The complex has been thoroughly restored between 1970s and 1980s by the Byzantine Society of America, and since then serves again as a mosque. Alright, so it's burned down multiple times and abandoned. The sarcophagi were probably the royalty, the members of the imperial family, maybe? Possibly? Possible. So look, there's North Dome and then there's like another dome, right? There's a North Church and a South Church. Alright, architecture, North Church, has an unusual cross and square plan and was one of the first shrines in Constantinople to adopt this plan, whose prototype is possibly the near ecclesia erected in Constantinople in the year 880, of which no remains are extant. During the Ottoman period, the four columns have been replaced with two pointed arches which span the whole church. The dimensions of the North Church are small. The naos is 13 meters long and 9.5 meters wide, and was sized according to the population living in the monastery at the time. The masonry of the North Church was erected by alternating courses of brick and small rough stone blocks. In this technique, which is typical of the Byzantine architecture of the 10th century, the bricks sink in a thick bed of mortar. The building is topped by an Ottoman dome pierced by 8 windows. This edifice has 3 high apses. The central one is polygonal and is flanked by the other 2, which served as Pastophoria, Prothesis, and Diaconicon. These are names for parts of Orthodox churches, which I don't really know what they mean. The apses are interrupted by triple and single lancet windows. The walls of the central arms of the Now's cross have 2 orders of windows. The lower order has triple lancet windows. This is a really detailed description. The higher semicircular windows, 2 long periclesia, each one ended by a lower asp. We need a diagram, is what we need, like a plan and labels. Ended by a lower apse, flanks the presbytery of the naos. The angular and central bays are very slender. At the 4 edges of the building are 4 small roof chapels, each surmounted by a cupola. Can we get a description or a photo? Actually, to be honest, the interior part of the building looks kind of like what's in the game. Although all the Byzantine churches look kind of similar anyway. But they're all slightly different. What was I up to? I don't know if a detailed explanation or a detailed description is all that useful. So that's what it looks like there. That's what it looks like under the dome. Square room surmounted by a dome. Yeah, so this is just a really detailed description of this, which really, it would help if we had photos. But it's just repeating. It's the same thing about the masonry with the bricks and stone alternating decoration. Alright. So, there you go. Unfortunately, yet another building that the game manages to completely mangle. Well, they did the Hagia Sophia properly. So there's that. The famous buildings they did properly. Fatih Kami. That's a major one. Let's see if this is accurate though. I think it's right there, that one there. But many parts of this game, we've said already that it's lacking in polish. It's possible that they intended to put the real churches in, and like so many other parts of the game, they just had to release it before it's finished. Because a lot of the quests are kind of incomplete. Well, they're complete, but they're not polished. And it could be that, they made the important buildings first, and then they just ran out of time when they got to this part. That's possible. Where am I going? Am I going in the right direction? This is... Wait a minute. Is this seriously just copy and pasted from the... This is the same building that we just went past, that we just looked at. Look at this. This thing is the exact same one as we were looking at earlier. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. I'm in the wrong place. I need to go back the other way. Fatih Kami is there. Not that one there. This mosque is yet another copy and paste. Yeah, maybe they just ran out of time. Maybe they did. It's perfectly possible. Because I mean, if I were developing a game, I would do a similar thing, right? You would just kind of make the game engine, make the game mechanics, and then you just have a list of things you want to do. And you would prioritize them, and then you just do the most important stuff first, and then go down the list of priorities, right? And so if these churches were at the bottom of the priority list, then so be it. Come on, come on, come on. Why am I not there? There you go. Alright, let's take care of these janissaries, so that we can look at this building unhindered. Oh boy, now they're mad. Call assassins! Call all your assassins! Assassins everywhere! Janissaries everywhere! Panic! Oh, don't shoot me, bro! Okay, that guy's just standing there, not doing anything. This might take a while. No, don't I got shot. I swear okay, there you go, counter. One of my assassins got wounded. He's still alive? Is he immortal or something? His health bar's not moving. He might be immortal, this guy. Okay, this is gonna be a... I am getting hit. I am getting hit. I don't want to do that. Alright, never mind. The Janissary is still here. Have we cleared them out? There's still more of them on the other side of the building. There, let me just... Alright, well, we got into way too much trouble just now. Let me just grenade my way to victory. Like that. Alright, hopefully that clears them out. So see, I mean this building, you can see how it's not a copy and paste. Definitely not a copy and paste. So I guess, you know, when they want to, they can make proper buildings. Yeah, I guess they just kind of went down the list and stopped when they ran out of time, and that's it. And that's the end of the story. Okay, well here we are. What does the game say about this? Locations. Fatih of Faith Mosque was built by the Turks just after the conquest of Constantinople and was the first mosque of Ottoman origin in the city. As one amusing story goes, after Sultan Mehmed realized that the dome of Fatih was built smaller than the Hagia Sophia's, he had the architect's hand cut off for lack of ambition. Well, I mean, if you cut off his hand, it's not like he's going to do any more work afterwards, is it? This the architect felt was unfair, and after his wound healed, he contacted a local member of the Ottoman judiciary for legal counsel. The judge surprisingly sided with the architect and ordered that the Sultan's arm be cut off in retribution. This did not happen, of course, but the very fact that the judge sided with a civilian over his Sultan and was not reprimanded is noteworthy. Right. Okay, let's see what what our friend Wikipedia has to say. Fatih Mosque. Oh, 2 eyes. Yep, 2 eyes. The Fatih Mosque in Istanbul looks like that. It's not quite the same, is it? It's mostly the same, but not quite the same. Notably less grey, more yellow. I think that photo's from behind, actually. I wonder if I should come over here to compare. I think the photo was taken from like back here. Let me just come over here, desecrate some graves. Close? Yeah, that's pretty much correct, yeah, alright. The Fatih Mosque is an Ottoman imperial mosque located in the Fatih district of Istanbul, Turkey. It was one of the largest examples of Turkish Islamic architecture in Istanbul and represented an important stage in the development of classic Turkish architecture. It is named after Fatih Sultan Mehmed, the Ottoman Sultan who conquered Constantinople in 1453. Sanihsiman Medrese, a main center for the study of various traditional Islamic sciences such as theology, law, medicine, astronomy, physics, and mathematics, were part of the Fatih Mosque and were founded by the Turk astronomer Ali Kushji, who was invited by Fatih Sultan Mehmed to his court in Istanbul. Alright. traditional Islamic sciences such as theology, law, medicine, astronomy, physics, and mathematics. So it was a school as well as a mosque. The Fatih Mosque complex was a religious and social building of unprecedented size and complexity built in Istanbul between 1463 and 1470 by the order of Fatih Sultan Mehmed on the site of the former Byzantine Church of the Holy Apostles, which had been a ruin since the Fourth Crusade. That Fourth Crusade really messed up Byzantium, honestly. Those Venetians screwed Constantinople. It was built by the royal architect Atik Sinan. The Fatih Mosque was the first monumental project in the Ottoman imperial architectural tradition. Alright. Interestingly, it looks taller in real life, doesn't it? Look at it. Oh no, that's right. Is it taller in real life? I think it is. Let's look at those proportions there. The size of the cars there. I think it might just be scaled down in the game. Actually, we can count the domes. Should we do that? Should we count the domes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, good. But are they the right size? I think not. I think it's scaled down a lot, to be honest. Because that's a car. If that's a car, that door is as wide as a car. This door is not as wide as a car. Alright, so the building, the real building, should be twice as big as this. If a car is supposed to fit through that door, right? Then this thing is about half as big as the real thing. Well, just imagine that this is twice as big. It would be much more impressive. The original complex included a set of well-planned buildings constructed around the mosque. They include 8 madrasa, a library, hospital, hospice, caravanserai, market, hammam, primary school, and public kitchen, which serve food to the poor. So it was a real community center, basically. Various turbae were added at later dates. The original complex covered an almost square area of 325 meters on the side. Wait a minute. Extending along the Golden Horn side of Vevzipasa Street. 332 meters on a side. Okay, that's the original mosque. That can't be it. That's not that big. The original mosque was badly damaged in the 1509 earthquake. After that, it was repaired, but was then damaged again by earthquakes in 1557 and 1754 and repaired yet again. It was then completely destroyed by an earthquake on the 22nd of May 1766, when the main dome collapsed and the walls were irreparably damaged. The current mosque, designed on a completely different plan, was completed in 1771 after Sultan Mustafa III by the architect Mimar Mehmed Tahir. So the one we look at, the one we see in the game, is not even the real thing. The original was much, much bigger and like a massive community center, whereas the one we see in game is the one that exists today, which is a different thing. That's the mosque before the earthquake. That's the mosque as it exists today. Well, that's a real shame, because the original looks like it was pretty impressive. Look at that. That is impressive. Look how many domes there are in this building that surrounds it. That is impressive. Alright. The first Fatih Mosque had one central dome supported by a single semi-dome of the same diameter on the Qibla side and suspended on 4 arches. Its dome was 26 meters in diameter. The second mosque, which was built in 1771 by Sultan Mustafa III after the 1766 earthquake, was built on a square plan. It has one central dome supported by 4 semi-domes. The courtyard, main entrance portal, and lower portions of the minarets remain from the original construction, with the remainder consisting of the 1771 Baroque reconstruction. The courtyard, main entrance portal, and lower portions of the minaret. So the courtyard, so this stuff down here is original, or the main gate is, and then the rest of it is new. Can't really tell the difference. Interior. The present interior of the Fatih Mosque is essentially a copy of earlier designs invented by Sinan, reused repeatedly by himself and his successors throughout Istanbul. This technique is emulative of the Hagia Sophia. The 26-meter diameter center dome. The 26-meter diameter center dome is supported by 4 semi-domes on each axis, supported by 4 large marble columns. There are 2 minarets, each within twin galleries. The calligraphy within the mosque and the minbar exhibit a Baroque influence, but the white tiles of inferior quality are a poor comparison with the Iznik tiled splendor of mosques such as the Rustam Pasha Mosque. The mihrab dates from the original construction, complex. As with other imperial mosques in Istanbul, the Fatih Mosque was designed as a kalliye, or complex, with adjacent structures to service both religious and cultural needs. To the north and south of the mosque are the Sani Saman, 8 great madrasae, 4 to each side. To the north and south of the mosque, 4 madrasas on each side. They're not in the game, that's for sure. These buildings are symmetrical and each contains 18 cells for students, each housing 4 youths, and a dashane. Behind each was an annex about half as large as the madrasa itself, all of which have been destroyed as a result of road construction. Haha! They're gone. They're not there in real life. They built roads and destroyed the madrasa. That sounds kinda convenient, though. Oh, there's religious schools here. Well, we need to build a road, so I guess we need to demolish these religious schools. That sounds kinda convenient. The madrasa is provided for about 1,000 students, making it a large university for its time. The hospice is outside the southeast corner of the mosque precincts. The building has a beautiful courtyard supported by 16 exceptional columns of verd antique and granite, which were probably salvaged from the Church of the Holy Apostles. Opposite the hospice is the large turbe of Sultan Mahmud II's mother, Nakshi Dil Sultana. I can't pronounce this for the life of me. In the graveyard on the Qibla side, behind the mosque, are the turbe of Sultan Mahmud II and his wife Gulbahar Hatun. Both were reconstructed after the earthquake. The turbe of the conqueror is very baroque, with a lavishly decorated interior. The turbe of Gulbahar is simple, with classic lines, and may closely resemble the original. In addition, the graveyard has a large number of graves belonging to leading state officials, including Osman Nuri Pasha. Alright, I don't think we really need to read all the rest. So, interesting. So there was an original, it fell down in an earthquake, then they built a second one, which is kind of what we see today, except it was bigger, but then they built roads and destroyed some of the surrounding complex. And apparently all sorts of important people are buried in the graveyard here. So it's got a long and complex history, and the one we see in game is actually a copy of the existing building, and is nothing like the building that should be here when Ezio was here. So there you go. There you go. Alright, what's the next thing we're gonna look at? Locations and Zayrik Mosque? Where? Oh no, this is gonna be a copy and paste. I'm not even gonna go look at it. Look at it. You can tell already it's just the same church copy and pasted again. One of the largest and best examples of Byzantine architecture. but they just copy and pasted it. Still standing today, the Zurich Mosque began service in the 12th century as an Eastern Orthodox monastery. It grew dramatically over the following decades, acquiring a library, a hospital, a second church, a courtyard, and a tomb in less than 100 years. During the Latin occupation of the city, the complex was the Vatican clergy's see until the restoration of the Palaiologos dynasty reinstated its Orthodox monks. Once the Ottomans took over, the entire building complex took on a multifaceted multicultural role. Muslims used one of the buildings as a madrasa, while Christians were still permitted to worship in the church's facilities. Alright, well, we're going to look at Wikipedia and see what it looks like there. Zurich Mosque. It looks like that. Look, there's a dome, and then these things, and then other things. It's not that. Come on. The Zurich Mosque is a mosque in Istanbul made of two former Eastern Orthodox churches and a chapel. It represents the most typical example of architecture of the Byzantine Middle Period. It's quite important architecturally, you know? They just didn't do it. They didn't put it in the game. The most typical example of architecture of the Byzantine Middle Period in Constantinople, and is after Hagia Sophia, the second largest religious edifice built by the Byzantines remaining in Istanbul. The second largest religious edifice built by the Byzantines remaining in Istanbul. It's an important building and they did not put it into the game. History. Between 1118 and 1124, Byzantine Empress Irene Komnena built a monastery on this site dedicated to Christ Pantocrator. The monastery consisted of a main church, also dedicated to the Pantocrator, a library and a hospital. After the death of his wife shortly after 1124, Emperor John II Komnenos built another church to the north of the first, dedicated to the Theotokos Eleusa, the Merciful. This church was open to the population and served by lay clergy. Finally, a south courtyard and an exonarthex were added to the complex, and the two shrines were connected together with a chapel dedicated to St. Michael, which became the imperial mausoleum of the Komnenos and Palaiologos dynasties. Besides many Byzantine dignitaries, Emperor John II and his wife Irene, Empress Bertha of Solbach, also known as Irene, and the wife of Manuel I Komnenos, and Emperor John V Palaiologos are buried here. It's an important building. It's like one building, and then a second building, and then a courtyard, and then shrines connecting the buildings together. So it's like a huge complex. That's quite architecturally interesting. It's not in the game. During the Latin domination after the Fourth Crusade, the complex was the see of the Vatican clergy, and the icon of the Theotokos Hodegetria was housed here. The monastery was also used as an imperial palace by the last Latin emperor Baldwin. After the Palaiologan restoration, the monastery was used again by Orthodox monks. The most famous amongst them was Gennadius II Scholarius, who left the Pantocrator to become the first patriarch of Constantinople after the Islamic conquest of the city. Right. Ottoman and Republican periods, shortly after the fall of Constantinople, the building was converted to a mosque, and the monastery was converted for a while into a madrasa. The Ottoman named it after Molla Zayrek, a scholar who was teaching there. However, due to its importance in Byzantine history, Zayrek was one among the few buildings of Istanbul whose ancient denomination was never forgotten. Among others, the Church of Pantocrator is remembered by Pierre Gillet in his classic work about Constantinople, written in the 16th century. After the completion of the madrasas in the Fatih complex in 1471, the students abandoned Zayrek, and the rooms of the monastery occupied by the madrasa vanished later. Alright. Until a few years ago, the edifice was in a desolate state, and as a result, it was added to the UNESCO watch list of endangered monuments. During the recent years, it underwent extensive, albeit still unfinished, restoration. Okay. Today's Syriac mosque is, after Hagia Sophia, the second largest extant religious edifice built by the Byzantines in Istanbul. Wait a minute. Alright, let's just copy it from earlier. To the east lies the Ottoman Konak, which has also been restored and is now open restaurant. Why is that important? It's a different building. The absence of the imperial chapel in the background, built with the technique of the recessed brick. Okay. The masonry has been partly built adopting the technique of the recessed brick, typical of the Byzantine architecture of the Middle Period. In this technique, alternate courses of brick are mounted behind the line of the wall and are plunged in a mortar bed. Due to that, the thickness of the mortar layers is about 3 times greater than that of the brick layers. Somebody's been going around to all the Byzantine churches, just copy and pasting that sentence in. The south and the north church are both cross-domed with polygonal apses having 7 sides, and not 5 as was typical in Byzantine architecture of the previous century. The apses also have triple lancet windows flanked by niches. The southern church is the largest. To the east it has an isonarthex, which later was extended up to the imperial chapel. The church is surmounted by 2 domes, one over the naos and the other over the metroneum, a separate upper gallery for women of the narthex. The decoration of this church, which was very rich, disappeared almost completely except for some fragments of marble in the presbyterium and, above all, a beautiful floor in opus sectile made with colored marbles worked in cloisonne technique. What is that? Curious. Still can't really tell what it means, but there you go. Where human and animal figures are represented. Moreover, fragments of colored glass suggest that the windows of this church were once made of stained glass, bearing figures of saints. The mosaics of the interior representing the apostles in the life of Christ are still visible, although defaced in the 18th century. Man, this thing just got neglected. The imperial church is covered by barrel vaults and is surmounted by 2 domes. The north church has only 1 dome and is notable for its frieze, carved with a dog's tooth and triangle motif running along the eaves line. Alright, blah blah blah. As a whole, this complex represents the most typical example of architecture of the Byzantine Middle Period in Constantinople. That sentence has been put in this article 3 times already. So, a rather important building. Syriac Mosque maps. Where is it? It's there. Syriac Mosque. Okay. So it's one of. Oh wow, they had the nerve to put that into the game as a landmark. Alright, we're gonna walk over there. And I'm just gonna warn you, we're gonna get angry when we get there. Angry and disappointed. Alright, and we're gonna walk over to where the game tells us this building is. Are you ready? Are you ready to see it in the game? Are you looking forward to see this really important Byzantine building in the game? Are you... Okay, don't sleep in the hay. Are you looking forward to finding out what this thing looks like in the game? Oh, hey guys. Let me just ignore you. It looks like this in the game. Come on, the copy and paste is just out of control. Although there are other bits. There are other bits added to it, so I don't even know. Ah, the copy and paste. Well, it's not. It's slightly different. It's a bit longer. I mean, it's a bit longer. Can we get some photos? Not even close, man. Not even close. Can we get some Google image search? It is not even close. This is from Assassin's Creed. Not even close. Not half, not quarter, not even anything like the real thing. Okay, well, there you go. We'll just add that to the list of buildings that they didn't have time to make. Next. Database, locations. Oh no, you can see it already. You can see it already. It's the same copy and paste nonsense. Look at it. It's the same one. Another Orthodox church converted into a mosque. This structure was constructed on the site of an old Roman bath in the 6th century. Together with the Hagia Sophia and the Zurich Mosque, today the Kilindahane Mosque is one of the best extant examples of Byzantine architecture. You don't say. You don't say. Not that you show any of it. Kilindahane Mosque. It's kind of close. Actually, it's actually kind of close. Not quite. I mean, the dome is a bit shorter. The arches are a bit taller. Not quite. No, not even close. Not close. Kilindahane Mosque is a former Eastern Orthodox church in Istanbul, converted into a mosque by the Ottomans. With high probability, the church was originally dedicated to the Theotokos Kyriotissa. The building is sometimes referred to Kilindahane Gemisi and Sigmeri Diakonissa. Okay. This building represents one among the few extant examples of a Byzantine church with domed Greek cross plan. Alright. The mosque is located in the Fatih district of Istanbul, Turkey, in the picturesque neighbor of Vefa, and lies immediately to the south of the easternmost extant section of the Aqueduct of Valens, and less than 1 kilometer to the... Okay, never mind, we don't really need to know that. Oh look, the interior is kind of cool. Your typical Byzantine church. Alright, history. The first building on this site was a Roman bath, followed by a 6th century hall church with an apse laying up against the Aqueduct of Valens. Later, possibly in the 7th century, a much larger church was built to the south of the first church. A third church, which reused the sanctuary and apse, later destroyed by the Ottomans, of the second one, can be dated to the end of the 12th century during the late Komnenian period. It may date to between 1197 and 1204, since Constantine Stilbis alluded to its destruction in a fire in 1197. The church was surrounded by monastery buildings which disappeared totally during the Ottoman period. After the Latin conquest of Constantinople, the building was used by the Crusaders as a Roman Catholic church, and partly officiated by Franciscan clergy. After the conquest of Constantinople in 1453, the church was assigned personally by Mehmed II to the Kilindari sect of the Dervish. The Dervishes used it as a zaviye and imaret public kitchen, and the building has been known since as Kilindehani, or Kilindehani, the House of the Kilindari. The Waqf Foundation was endowed with several properties in Thrace, and many hammams in Istanbul and Galata. Some years later, Apa Emini Mustafa Effendi built a mekteb, a school, and a madrasa. Okay. In 1746, I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that. The Kaiser Agassi of Topkapi Palace built a mihrab, minbar, and mahfil, completing the conversion of the building into a mosque. Ravaged by fire and damaged by earthquakes, the mosque was restored in 1855 and again in 1880 and 1890. It was abandoned in the 1930s after the collapse of the minaret due to lightning and the demolition of the madrasa. The conservation of the building dates from the 1970s, when it was extensively restored and studied in a 10-year effort by Cecil L. Stryker and Dogan Kaban, who restored its 12th century condition. Moreover, the minaret and the mihrab were rebuilt, which allowed the mosque to reopen for worship. The restoration also provided a solution to the problem of the dedication of the church. While before it was thought that the church was named after Theotokos, the Virgin of Diakonessus, or Christ the Inconceivable, the discovery of a donor fresco in the southeastern chapel and another fresco over the main entrance to the narthex, both bearing the word Kyriotissa, Greek for enthroned, makes highly probable that the church was dedicated to the Theotokos Kyriotissa. So they don't know for sure, but probably. Architecture and decoration. The building has a central Greek cross plan with deep barrel vaults over the arms, and is surmounted by a dome with 16 ribs. The structure has a typically Middle Byzantine brickwork with outer... Okay, we've read that like 5 times already. The entry is via an isonarthex and an exonarthex, added much later on the west side. The upper gallery over the isonarthex, following the same plan of the one existing in the Church of the Pantocrator, was removed in 1854. Also, the north and south aisles along the nave were destroyed, possibly during the 19th century as well. The tall triple arches connecting the aisles with the naves are now the lower windows of the church. See, without looking at the real thing, we don't really know what they're talking about. The sanctuary is on the east side. I don't know if it's all that useful reading about the details of the building if we can't see it. Anyway, there you go. We don't get to see it, but if you want to read about it, there it is. Alright, well, back.